Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Love music?
We do too.
Well, if you ever feel like it's hard to keep up, though, don't worry. We're here to help.
Monday through Friday, Daily Music Headlines gets you the top happenings in music, from chart toppers, news releases, concert announcements, and more.
All in less than 5 minutes.
Don't miss out. Get the show at dailymusicheadlines.com.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Troy and I are here with a very special guest. Our first interview. Troy, are you so excited?
I'm a bit gagged. I kind of feel like I'm disassociating right now because I can't believe it's I'm like very excited, and I have so many selfish questions. This is a selfish pursuit by both of us, by the way.
Oh, naturally. I mean, the reason why you have a podcast is so you can just interview people that you selfishly want to talk to and ask questions of.
Exactly.
Now, I will say that our first guest is also my friend, so I do get to ask him all the questions I want off the record, but now I'm turning on the recording device and letting it run for everyone to hear. We're here with Michael Johnson, my pal, musician, drummer, and former boy band member. Michael,
wow.
Hello.
What an intro. That was just very special. I'm happy to be your first, hopefully not your worst. And yes, I'm happy to be on the record with you guys, even though nothing's off limits.
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, so Michael was in the boy band Natural, and he has just come out with a docuseries on Netflix that I'm sure everyone listening is probably, if you haven't already seen it, you've definitely heard of it, and it's probably in your queue to watch. But Dirty Pop on Netflix. As your friend, Michael, I feel like I've been hearing about this coming to fruition for so long, and now the baby is finally born. How do you feel?
It is, we set it free, and it is an amazing feeling to let it just be doing its thing in the world. There's been an amazing reaction to seeing it, but it was like so long in the making, and there was so many crazy experiences trying to put this thing together that it's like I actually like kind of miss it. I miss like the process and the team of like the director, the producers, everybody. We would just be calling each other at all hours of the night, just like, what do we do now? It's over. Like it's not going to happen, and then we somehow get through that. And so for it to be on Netflix now and doing well is just like a crazy feeling.
Yeah, and it was number one on Netflix for like at least a few days, a week.
Yeah, it was a week, and like obviously all of the bands that are talked about in the series have global fan bases, so we've been doing really well worldwide, and like it's done way better than I ever could have imagined, and it kind of speaks to like the zeitgeist of like boy bands are back. Not that for some of us they never went anywhere, but it's just like the prevalence of these bands and like the cultural impact that they made back in the 90s and early 2000s is just like so long lasting that it's like peeking its head out again, even with like the Deadpool stuff and like the Justin getting a DUI. they never die. The boy bands never die. You can't kill them.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the things I wanted to ask you is like, I was going through and rewatching you guys' music videos in preparation for this, and a lot of the comments are people like younger people who like maybe didn't know who you were like were too young, or people who just like weren't aware of the band, like rediscovering your music and being like, this is really good. Are you so removed from the music that doesn't mean anything to you, or does that still like make your heart flutter a little bit when you hear that?
It actually does feel really good to read that. Like even when we were in the thick of it and like touring the world and making these music videos and doing everything, we were so caught up in like the chaos of it all that like we never got a chance to like stop and appreciate the love that we were getting from fans. So to like all these years later have new people discovering and people rediscovering it that had somehow heard of us back in the day. It's I mean, also just being older, things just mean more as you get older. But but yeah, like seeing some of those comments, and some people have reached out to me just through social media that were fans back in the day, and like they have long-lasting friendships and relationships that started at one of our concerts in like '99 or something. And it's like the ripple effect of a band like mine that wasn't massive by any means, but had some sort of impact on people's lives. It's a very crazy feeling, and also like the style and that sort of music is kind of coming back. Like the early 2000s are now happening again. And so for new fans to discover it now, it's just like, I think it's completely outdated, but people are liking it again. So it's quite the feeling.
The band was formed in Orlando. You guys found each other, right? It wasn't like an open call situation.
That's right. So we all kind of grew up in like the showbiz kid scene of Orlando. Like a lot of us were doing theater or dancing or going to auditions for the theme parks and stuff. And like I was in the callback with AJ and Nick from Backstreet for Mickey Mouse Club and met them there. And so it was just like,
Whoa.
it was like this whole like little, it was a universe of its own in Orlando with like all these like showbiz kids. And so when Backstreet started to pop off and NSYNC was coming behind them, it was just like this scene of like suburban house parties of like all these tens of thousands or so people moving to Orlando to be discovered in some way. And like, obviously Lou Pearlman was there with Transcon Records, but like anybody that had any money at all was trying to be like Lou and start their own bands and labels. And it was just like this crazy scene. And so we would go to all these like parties in the suburbs with like Stacy before she was Fergie and had her band Wild Orchid, and like Britney was there with Justin and all the like their crew, and there was like all these bands starting up there, and they were forming kind of at these parties, and that's where I met my band members, was at one of the parties that was actually being held by, there was a band that Johnny Wright managed called Boys and Girls United, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that band.
No, but wow, what a beautiful, beautiful concept.
Yeah. It was two guys and two girls, and they were united. And so they were like hosting this party, and I met some of my other bandmates there, and we all just kind of were trying to figure out where we all fit in this world. And so we started like singing a cappella together outside of like House of Blues teen nights that the radio station would put on, and we like started to get this fan base going, just like kind of busking outside of like other bands' gigs. And then we were like, wait a minute, we've built this fan base from just like handing out flyers and doing everything we could to then have our own like teen night at House of Blues in Orlando. And it like sold out, did really well. A producer started to like make our demos he had produced a bunch of stuff for Backstreet and NSYNC. One of my favorite productions of his was like most of the NSYNC Christmas record, which still holds up today. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we were rehearsing at Transcon Studios, which was Lou's studios, and he like discovered us, and we were playing instruments as like a full band, and then we sang a cappella for him, and we danced and did the whole thing, and then he signed us, and that was kind of our launching point for world tours and madness.
Well, I remember reading that you guys like were going to have like lawyers involved before you signed with him, but he kind of like swept in and had you sign before you could really figure out like if you were being paid properly or like what was going on. So obviously you must have had like an awareness that he was like ripping people off and like stealing, because the NSYNC lawsuit and stuff had happened already, right? Yep. So right. What was going through your mind? Like, were you terrified? Were you like, I'm signing my life away? Were you excited? Like, were you freaking out?
Well, I mean, there was certainly more excitement than terror. But I mean, like coming up in the showbiz world as a kid, like you're not getting paid what you should be paid anywhere by Disney, by Nickelodeon, but like it's just not happening. And like I remember doing gigs for Disney, and it was like this big like TV special, and they're like, okay, here's a little bit of money, and here's six theme park tickets, and we're like, cool, so we can go to your parks and spend more money. That's great. Um, and so like the also I was 15 when I was signing with Lou, so I wasn't really thinking of like the money. We all just love performing, and we just wanted to keep our performing as a band growing and growing and growing. And he was the only ticket in town on a legit level. Like I said before, everybody's uncle with any sort of money was trying to like have a label and sign weird bands and stuff. But he was for us, he was the only ticket in town to like really do this on a big level. So like, and also in the music business there is not a an artist friendly contract. Like the I've been signed to labels since Natural, and they're like major labels, and the lawyers always say it's as good as it's going to get, but it's not great. So you can either do it and have a chance to like somehow get down the road and renegotiate because of your success, or you can not do it and nothing happens. So like that's kind of how we were looking at it of like we can take this and go on this journey and hopefully get to a point where we can either renegotiate or figure things out, or there's like 50 bands behind us that would kill for this spot. And that's I mean that's kind of how the entertainment business goes really, is if you don't take the opportunity, somebody else will, which is how they kind of force you into certain situations. So for us it was just like, let's just take our shot and take the opportunity, and we'll just kind of build the plane as we're flying, like we'll just figure it out as we go.
Or the blimp, if you will.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah, nice reference. And I just like it was such an exciting time, and we could like Lou especially could point to the bands that he had made massive and be like, do you want to be like that, or do you want to not necessarily like that stylistically, but like, do you want that success? And like a 15-year-old kid is gonna say yes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
we buckled our seatbelts and like went along for the ride. But on the lawyer front, like in Orlando, Florida at that time, there weren't like heavyweight entertainment attorneys around. So like we used attorneys that were like dabbling in the entertainment business and like doing like kids deals with Disney or Nickelodeon, whatever. But it wasn't like global record deals. Like that wasn't happening there. So we got the best people we could, but even they were just like, we don't know. We'll see. Like, just
Accept
give
the
it a
tickets
shot.
to the park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And so I mean, yeah, at that age, we were just like, okay, we're at an age where we can give this a shot, and if it doesn't work out, we go to college or whatever it may be. And it started to work in a way that was like just kind of mind blowing for a little while.
Was there any discussion amongst the group of parents surrounding the band? Was there any sort of talk of like, oh, is this okay, or should we be skeptical, or was it just kind of like, well, the kids are teenagers and this is what they want to do, so we'll hope for the best?
Yeah, I mean, again, like we had all come from like entertainment backgrounds. Like we had all started as like 5-year-olds in like either theater or musical theater or dance or whatever it may be. And like in that world, everything is weird. Like
Is it?
it's just not a normal place. Like the entertainment business in general, even as adults, is just like you can't compare it to any other industry at all.
Right.
So especially as kids, it was just like, and even like with Lou being a very strange bird, like so were my drama teachers, and like so
Hmm.
were my choreographers, and like and also like at that time in Florida, like a very conservative place, like my very flamboyant choreographers were like my favorite people. And so it was
Yeah.
just like it was like this little like this little scene in the like a bubble within like a conservative bubble, like this very
Mm.
anything goes creative place that like was really cool that it existed in Orlando because of the theme parks and all that stuff. That it was just like you kind of became insulated in that world. And my sister was a dancer, and then she was like dancing at the theme parks. Was on Broadway for a while on a Rockette, and there was just always like creative people around that like those types of people are bizarre, and I loved it. So it wasn't any different.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I never thought of that just context wise. Yeah, you're maybe not going to be like, hey, this Lou guy, I don't know about him. Because that truly any adult in the entertainment industry is a stone cold weirdo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it also, like you said, he's already, it's like if you're 15 years old and this person has a tangible, he can say, look, the Backstreet Boys, I did that. You could be that. Like, you're 15. What are you going to say? No. And if you have aspirations of being in the industry, like, I mean, I completely understand that. I would have been like, give me the pen. I would have snatched that pen out of Lou's hand.
Oh, I would have paid Lou to do it.
Right, totally.
Well, and he would have taken your money, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even like in the Dirty Pop series, like I know Chris Kirkpatrick says, like that contract could have been written in raccoon blood, and we would have signed it. Like it's your shot. It's your like chance to get out of that place that like. And listen, people make lifelong careers out of dancing and performing at theme parks and doing all that stuff in that town. But like for a lot of us, we could see that there was a bigger opportunity there with somebody like Lou, because first of all, he was such a good salesman and could promise you the entire universe. That just, I mean, it didn't even matter if he had done it before, which he hadn't. With Backstreet, the fact that he could get 5 guys that were supposed to be on the Mickey Mouse Club and doing great things, the fact that he could convince even them to go along for his ride when he had never done anything like it before, it just goes to show how good of a salesman he was. And it was almost like, because he was that good at like just figuring things out, there was like a safety to that of like, if him over anybody else in this industry, he's going to figure it out for us. And to a certain extent, he did that for a lot of people. But yeah, it was a lot of people ask like if it was like weird to be in this like group that was being signed by this guy who was like a little, there's rumors about and everything. It was just like, that was my entire life in like the little showbiz world of like that. The people that creeped me out the most were like the conservative like Disney executives that had a family and like were like, oh yeah, no, just like my daughter really liked you dancing with your shirt off. Oh, she did, really? She's 4.
Can you do more?
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask you about a unique thing to boy bands is sort of like in the creation of the boy band, like assigning roles and like assigning like personality types based on your role and like the way that young girls can attach themselves to different things. So what was that conversation like? Like, like the assigning of the roles in the band, and do you feel like your role like represented who you were, or was it totally opposite of who you felt you were at the time?
Well, yes, there are, in a 5-man band or 5-boy band, there are 5 different roles that are very important to your fan base. And they like Lou used to say, like at a shopping mall, there's the girls that like the guys at Foot Locker. There's the girls that like the guys at Hot Topic. There's the girls that like the American Eagle guys. There's the girls that like, and that was like down the line. And he like based it all on like shopping malls, and which was very interesting.
Wow.
And so the bad boy is the Hot Topic guy, which apparently that was me. But I mean, what was interesting in the very beginning is like we kind of formed on our own before signing with Lou. So we definitely all had very distinct personalities, but we had certainly not taken on the roles. And then once we got with Lou and we were put through this kind of boot camp of like boy band boot camp, it was like they got very like much more distinct roles. And he kind of described it that way of like the if every guy appeals to 20% of the fan base, five guys makes up 100%. So you're going to have a much better chance of than everybody being a certain type. And it was just like, that actually totally makes sense. And for us, it was almost like, because we'd all come from theater and like, even in like the dance world, you're like kind of playing a part, but you're a character. So for us, we like took on these roles and then we would go on tour and stuff and people would be relating to us as those things, but it's like you're playing a role, but it's you, it's your name and it's your face and your likeness that isn't necessarily in line with each other. So like at first it was just like, yeah, we've been playing parts in theater and dance and all this stuff for our whole lives, but then when you have fans that are responding to you as a human being as that role, it's like, oh, that's different. Like I'm not necessarily like that all the time. And it was like in most performative roles that are taken on, you're playing a character. And in this, you're playing a version of yourself that like it might be you in that moment, but like I remember as we were going on for like a few years, I was like, I'm kind of tired of being the guy that's like the bad boy or whatever with like all the piercings and whatever. I like I do like that stuff, but it's not everything that I am. And it was like you can get frustrated with like having to play that role. Which now, like even when we were interviewing AJ and Howie and Chris and Eric from O Town for the series, I was like kind of blown away at how comfortable they all are as men as those types or like as the like they have found a way over 30 years or so with Backstreet, like AJ has found a way to blend his role in the band as with him as a human being to like kind of figure it out. And like being so young and playing a part, it did get very confusing as we were touring and like having people cheer for something that like you kind of are, but then it's like that's not everything I am. So like I'd love for you to get to know me. Like I don't know, it was very crazy. But I mean the formula just has never stopped working. Like with K-pop, with everything else. Like it's a winning formula like through and through.
With the roles, like, did you have concrete talking points or rules? Like, if you sort of skewed away from something that was supposed to be your type in an interview, was there like a reprimand, like, hey, you can't talk about that, or like, that's not your job? Was there anything like that?
It was less about like what we talked about. I mean, we hadn't experienced much in life yet to have
Right.
anything much to say.
Yeah.
Even like reading some of my interviews back, I was like, was I dumb? I was like, was I a dumb kid? But I'm like, oh, I just hadn't like experienced much. But so I mean, like, it was less about like what we were talking about or allowed to talk about. There were definitely like things that we were supposed to say of like we were not allowed to have girlfriends, and we would be like we're married to our music, or like our fans are our girlfriend, whatever, like things like that like sound so dumb, but like when you say that in a room full of like girls and they all scream, you're like, oh wow, that actually that actually works. It's just so bizarre. And like a lot of like Lou's rules, we would be like, Lou, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then he'd be like, just try it. Just like on your, if there's like a press conference and there's a bunch of fans there, just try it. And we would get great reactions from the things that he told us to say. And so we're just like, well, I guess it does work. So like, we always had to be clean shaven, no tattoos, no girlfriends, and like, so it was less about what we said. I mean, a lot of us like did have girlfriends throughout the band, but we weren't allowed to talk about it. They weren't allowed to be around and all that stuff. But it was it was very weird because it did work, and that's like really bizarre. It was like it was a hard thing to grapple with. Of like, I remember I didn't want to shave for like when we had a Japanese tour and I didn't want to shave, and Lou found out about it, and he called me from Florida and he's like, I heard you haven't been shaving. I was like, who told you that? And they're like, the label. I'm like, okay. And they like the label had honestly done a poll with our fans that asked if they liked if I was clean shaven or scruffy, and everybody came back saying clean shaven. All
Ah,
everybody. And I saw the results, and I was like, that is
Oh my
crazy.
God.
Yeah.
that is so hard on a teenager or
Yeah.
anyone's psyche, but a teenager, like, oh, we're polling you as a
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah, and even like with I had a girlfriend at that time that I wanted to come out on tour, and Lou was like, "Well, we're about to launch all of your posters, and your individual posters, and like if you want to sell the most posters, you better not have a girlfriend." And I was like, "Okay." So I didn't like have my girlfriend come around, and I sold the most posters. It was just like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
I
it's
mean,
just
honestly, slay.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was just it was like it was so confusing because um, things that you thought were so ridiculous wound up working with the fan base, and it was just like, oh my God, this is like very confusing, but like kind of part of the gig in a weird way.
Yeah.
Um, and also like I didn't necessarily me and a few of the guys didn't necessarily like the music that we were making, and we were responding to like other bands that were around at the time that were a bit more alternative, whatever. And so that's just what we were gravitating to, and how we were starting to dress and whatever. And it was like, nope, got to kind of get you back over into this lane. And but again, it worked. That's they always had that to back up their rules, is that it did work.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I was going to ask you about you guys. You predate the Jonas Brothers as a boy band that plays instruments, which is like
Yeah,
what the Jonas Brothers kind of became known for, what separated them from all the other boy bands, aside from them obviously being literal brothers.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but like in your mind, like what did because you were a band before Lou, so what did you guys look like in your mind as a successful band had you not become pop stars? Like, what did that look like to you?
I mean, success for me, like the in that time, like even in Orlando, like Matchbox 20 was coming up, and they were like this alternative. I mean, now I look back and they're a pop band, but like they were coming up at the time, and they were just like they had success just touring. And like if you can just keep playing together and have fans that can kind of like buy some of your records, sell some merch, and like keep touring, that's amazing. And like I just we all just wanted to keep performing for as long as humanly possible. However, being in the transcon orbit, like your peers are the biggest stars on the planet. So like settling into success of just like touring in vans like as normal bands would do was just like, why would we settle for that when there's a potential that we could be like shutting down Times Square for TRL and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it was a very like the goals and aspirations at Transcon and in that scene were so beyond realistic, but only because there was something to point to that was in your same like peer group. So it was
Hmm.
just like, why settle for anything less than like the biggest stars on the planet? Which was just like, again, as kids, it was just like it was inspiring. Our work ethic was like next level. Like even when we'd be in our hotel rooms, we were still writing and trying to record and whatever. Um, but it was just like having the bands that came before you on this label be the biggest bands in the world, kind of still ever, um, was just like it didn't allow you to settle. It was just like very inspiring, and just it drove us to kind of not settle for like a lower tier band, but that's also probably why it didn't last.
It's interesting that you bring up having to just grind all the time.
Oh, there was grinding. There was always grinding in boy bands, you know.
That is a great point. All the kids of that era were getting worked to death. Did you guys start to feel that crush, and did it start to weigh on you guys? Is there any part of you that kind of was over it and wanted to be a kid again?
I mean, honestly, no. And like we were being worked to death, and like we were told that we were going to be in Europe for like 6 weeks, and it wound up being like over a year.
Oh,
And like,
wow.
but also it's because we constantly kept getting offered tours and like things were going well. So like for us in our families, it was almost like, well, you said they were going to be home in 6 weeks, and it's been over a year, and there was some confusion there because all of our friends were back home, like getting ready to go to college and all that stuff, and like living more normal lives. So like our baseline was just completely different. So we were kind of lost in this world of like, okay, wherever you tell us to go, we'll go. And but at the same time, you do get just exhausted. And like even looking back at like television interviews of myself back then, I'm like, I'm about to fall asleep right there, right then and there in that chair. but but honestly, our work ethic was so crazy, and we wanted it so bad that we were down. We were down to keep grinding and keep body rolling and doing all of the things we needed to do.
You know what's so funny? I'm looking at a quote from the magazine that we are covering in this episode, and one of the questions is this is from Popstar. They say, guys, you're becoming more and more successful this past year. Finish this sentence. The most important thing I've learned about myself over the past year is, and your answer is, without sleep, I get sick. And then he said, no, the real answer is who I am as an individual person and as a musician. So that's like, you just gave the adult version of your teenage answer.
That's incredible. Yeah, I should have prepped with reading the magazines again, but yeah, it was like even if we get sick, we're powering through it. And like I was the drummer of the band, and I tore a tendon in my wrist like on one of our big tours.
Wow.
And I went to the hospital in Germany. They put a cast on me. Before every show, they would cut the cast off and give me morphine, and I would play the show.
Oh my!
And it would just do it again. I did it for months, and like it was just no matter what, the show must go on, and we got to keep going. Like
that is the most Shirley Temple shit that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Do you have any lasting damage from that?
Oh, mental for sure.
Just mental, nothing.
Just from the morphine. Yeah. But it was just like. And that was at the time where we had our own tours, and like we were headlining these big tours, and it was like, if I don't play, the tour's over. And like we finally got to this level where we can sell out theaters and arenas and stuff overseas. I'm not going to not do that. So it was just like prop me up on the drums and like set me up. There was even a time we were performing in France where I had this crazy food poisoning and like couldn't eat for like I think it was like 10 days or something. And we had hired another drummer to sit behind me on the drums in case I fell over.
Oh my God.
It was just nonstop. Like every single day was nonstop. There were times where we were playing 2 and 3 shows a day. Like Lou would get us this like private jet in Europe, and we would play one show and like around like a lunchtime set at a festival, fly to another city, play another show, and then do like a late night show in another city. So we were hitting 3 cities in a day, and it was just that go. It was nuts.
Wow,
that is insanity.
Well, in going back to like being like questioning, is it too much or whatever? Like first of all, when you're 15, 16 in your first band ever, and you're on private jets all the time, it's like it's pretty weird, but like. Going from one festival of like 80,000 people, getting on a private jet, having like the government give you like a police escort to another festival, and then whatever, and then you call home to your friends, And they're like, yep, just cleaning my room. Just like, okay, I don't have anything to relate to now. So like the band and Lou and the label and everybody on your touring like circuit just gets so insulated, and it's just like it's this non-reality floating through space that's like it's hard to relate to the world at that point. And so it just bad things happen at that point.
So I've also read that like Lou kept the bands sort of like isolated from each other, and I'm assuming, you know, he doesn't want you comparing notes, obviously.
Yeah.
You know. So what was your like while you're in the thick of it, like when you are a formed band, you're touring, you're performing, like you're out there, like what was your relationship to like his other artists? Like did you guys hang out and compare notes and be like, have you gotten paid? I'm tired. I have damage in my wrist. Like, were you guys aware of each other's trauma that was going on at the same time?
Well, first of all, Lou, of course, kept us all separate, but he would also like, it was very known that he was creating his own competition to like just own the market. So like we were, from every inception of every band, it was just like, that's our competition. So it wasn't like we didn't like each other, but we looked at each other as competition of like, if a radio is going to play O-Town, they're probably not going to play Natural, like to pick up as a new band. So like we would see each other around at festivals and like different tours and things around the world, but it was just like very casual, like, hey man, how's it going? Like, and then you'd be like, oh, they're actually pretty nice. It's interesting that like then you would realize they're in the same situation you are, but by the time you're realizing that, they're already gone and you're off to another country or whatever. It's like, oh, they're actually pretty nice. And even when we were shooting the series, it was the first time we'd all gotten back in like face to face in a long time, and we're like, yeah, you were always pretty cool. Like, I wonder why.
I don't hate you.
Yeah, there's no reason to like hate you. But we were always like kind of pitted against each other in the competition sense, as opposed to like, don't talk to them because Eric's an asshole or whatever. It was just like, that's your competition, so take it for what it's worth.
Was there ever any kind of like, well, you know, this band is doing really well because they did this thing that I told them to do, and maybe you'd do better if you did that? Like,
100%.
Oh, wow.
I remember, again, I was trying to, I was like, I think I was 17, and like I had a like my first girlfriend, and I was like trying to like keep that somehow a thing when I was like gone for over a year. I was like, oh, I think she should come out on tour with us, which was like, never in a million years was that going to happen. But Lou was like, well, you know, Ashley Angel from O-Town had his girlfriend, who was like kind of known on making the band, come out. And this is actually true, because I was like, there's no way this happened. But she stepped off the bus in Germany and got like pelted with food, like just got annihilated with people throwing food at her.
Oh my God.
And so I was just like, cause at first I was like, who's going to throw food at another human being? And so I was like, okay, he doesn't want me to have my girlfriend out. And then I looked it up. And of course, another scenario where it was actually true that like Ashley's girlfriend just got annihilated with food as she stepped off the bus. So it was just like, a very strange world.
Whoa.
Boy band fans are psycho. I guess any sort of stan is psycho usually.
Well, I did another interview about like the mental health aspect of like being in a band like that, and I said for me it was very strange to have fans screaming my name when they don't know me, and like that because we were Lou's next band. We had fans in countries before we even got there, before we even released music, because we were the next in line. And so it was just very strange of like, okay, you're screaming at me, but why? And like, you don't know who I am. And I made the mistake because I had some fans reach out and be like, we're so sorry. We didn't mean to like freak you out or whatever. And I was like, well, no, it was actually amazing. It's just hard to like kind of understand at that time, like that people can be fans of something and excited about something and not know the person. And I hadn't dealt with that before. And like I found myself being a fan of other drummers or musicians, whatever, and I don't know a thing about their personal life. So, but it was like a very strange thing to kind of grapple with. Of like, these people are saying that they know me and they love me and all this stuff, but like, it was crazy. But like, it was looking back at it, like that sort of support for a new band is like unheard of, and like it set us on a trajectory that was just incredible. Boy band fandom is wild.
I selfishly want to ask you about one of what I believe is like the most under talked about, if that's a word, like career venture of Lou's entire situation, which is Long Shot, the movie.
Oh yes, thank you. Thank you.
I need to know, like, what was going on with Long Shot? How did this come to be? Were you guys asked to be a part of it? Like, and did Lou think that he was going to become like the next Quentin Tarantino or something? Like, what was the vibe?
Well, yes, he did think that, and that's just like crazy people do crazy things and sometimes become wildly successful. And this is one of those things that was crazy, but was so far from wildly successful
Yeah.
that it should. Like I recommend everybody get their hands on a copy of Long Shot. I don't know if it's like available digitally or whatever, but he had this idea because he had built this universe of pop stars in Orlando, Florida, that if you stick enough people in the movie as cameos that have a fan base, it's going to be wildly successful. Which no, that is not the case. And actually that was The Rock's first movie, by the way. Which
Wow.
is like the craziest thing of all of it. Yes. And,
So it was successful.
yeah, something was successful out of it. Yeah, and I think the successful part of it was the fact that The Rock has been able to bury it.
Yeah.
It didn't take much effort to bury that thing, but yeah, it was like every single person that Lou had worked with in any capacity, including his cousin Art Garfunkel, like family members of all of the bands were in it. Aaron Carter was in it. Like every single boy band, Britney Spears was in it. It was just like his idea to pack this thing full of stars. And we have footage of all of their like pre-production meetings, and like the ideas that were flowing in that room are so beyond like idiotic. It was just like it was just crazy. And like Lou would literally hear some catchphrase that was cool like that day, and he'd be like, we have to fit this into the movie, and the writer would be like, okay, we shot that scene, but so they would literally go back and reshoot a scene to like fit in a catchphrase that Lou just thought was cool that day. And
he's like, you gotta say "what's up" about this part in the scene.
Yeah, there's these frogs that are saying "what's up," so it's like, but the funniest thing is that in one of these meetings, the budget was $1.2 million. That Lou at one point wanted to cut it down to like $750,000, but so nobody had any clue how to make a movie that was making this movie, and the final budget, all said and done, was $21 million.
Oh,
You are joking right now.
It was crazy. That they thought that in order to like make it look like a New York street, they thought that they had to shut down Fifth Avenue in New York and like put everybody up in the Ritz.
Oh my god!
And like finally somebody came in towards the end and was like, guys, you can make Toronto look like New York, and it's like a tenth of the cost. And like nobody had any idea what they were doing, and everybody was getting some talent fees. Yeah, it was like in the meeting they're trying to cut it from just over 1 million to like 750. They spent over 20 at the end of the day.
Honestly, looking back though, like for a movie full of bands and pop stars that are currently working that have delusional, ravenous fan bases that will support anything that they do and buy any, and like during a time when people are physically going out and like buying albums, like it is kind of shocking that it didn't do anything and that most people don't even know it exists.
Well, the thing is, and this goes on the music side, and especially with Longshot. The Longshot is like just the perfect example of Lou's little insular world. He wasn't a part of the entertainment business. Like he built everything on this island of his own. So he didn't know how to get a movie distributed, or like he didn't really know how to like start a label or anything. And because of like everything being built on criminal activity, he couldn't like come out to LA and be a part of the music business or entertainment business. He couldn't do it in New York. He couldn't do it in Nashville. He had to do it on his own, like separate from everything else, or else he would have been found out a long time ago.
Wow.
So literally the distribution plan for the movie Longshot was my band, Natural, going on QVC to sing a cappella and him like sling VHS copies.
Hey.
That's how it was distributed, was on QVC.
It's crazy. I can't even wrap my head around that. I didn't know that at all.
It's crazy. Like they didn't know anything else. They just thought, okay, like they've seen people sell things on QVC. Maybe that's a direct to consumer way to do it with all these bands that have fan bases, but their fan bases are not on QVC. So it was just this like very confusing thing. And I have a video somewhere of us singing a cappella on QVC as Lou does his pitch with the VHS of Longshot.
Michael,
it's insane.
I need to see that.
I'll send it to you. I'll find it and send it to you.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
But like you said, like in the movie is Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, The Rock, Art Garfunkel, all of the bands, and Gilbert Gottfried, like all these like people that were big at the time, and it was just like nobody had a clue what they were doing, and it's one of the biggest disasters in entertainment business history. And by the way, all of the pre-production meetings were in Lou's house, where he's like wearing this white robe and these like big like Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. It's the most bizarre. We used a little bit of like we used a clip of it in the series, but it's like the weirdest thing ever.
It's my favorite Lou thing. It's like my favorite little weird like nuanced Lou Pearlman thing is Longshot.
You've done your research, and I appreciate that. That's good.
Now, I will say, Michael, my favorite Lou side project to discuss is you and Natural were almost the first boy band in space.
Iconic.
That's right.
And this is another just incredible and strange story that feels like could only exist in the early 2000s that I feel like most people have never heard about.
How did you find out about it?
I think I was just Googling, and it was like, here's the one Vice article that pops up.
Got it.
And
yeah.
I was like, well, I'll take that to the bank.
It's one of those things that I keep in my back pocket sometimes. Like if we're at a dinner party and somebody's like, I have a story for you. I'm like, okay, we'll see.
Sure.
We'll see, baby.
I was going to be the first band in space. But, so yes, this was a real thing. And this goes to show the power that Lou had kind of developed over time in Florida and kind of around the world. NASA had come to Lou to make NASA cool and like appeal to a younger generation. So they were looking to Lou to kind of like somehow rally the younger generation to be interested in space and space travel and the shuttle program and all this stuff. And so when they did that, we were like his main band at that time. And we had, obviously the Kennedy Space Center is in Florida, like an hour or so away from Orlando. And so we had like sang the national anthem for shuttle launches and like met a bunch of the big shots at NASA. And then, so we were like NASA's plan to appeal to young people, of like writing a song that like is the theme song for the shuttle launches and then like the plan was we were going to go through the space training program as a band to like become astronaut capable. and we were this song that we were writing. There was a guy named there is a guy named Danny O'Donohue. He was in a boy band called My Town. Now he's in the Script, a band called the Script. And we were writing this song for space with him and one of the astronauts that was set to be on the space shuttle Columbia mission. And so we were writing this song. It was going to be this like global release, and like as we were releasing this song, once the Columbia came back to Earth, we were going to be prepping to be on one of the next shuttle launches to perform this song globally from space. And so we were like preparing for it, and like one of our members was like, "There's no way I'm ever going to do that." And we're like, "Cool, you stay here. We're doing this."
I'm with him. That
Right.
in space
Yeah.
is too scary.
So we were like prepping to like go through the training and everything, and we went to sing the national anthem. Well, we sang the national anthem for the launch of Columbia, and like in William McCool, the guy that we were writing the song with, was on Columbia, and we sang the national anthem. It was a big thing. We were preparing for this whole thing, and Columbia is the one that exploded on the way back to Earth, which like just obviously, I mean, other than being one of the most tragic things to ever happen, obviously derailed all of those plans for that whole mission. But yeah, it was just like, again, the fact that NASA was looking to Lou Pearlman to make them cool was just like crazy.
Yeah, it's so surreal, and it's so like it's so in line with most stories that Lou is a part of, where it ends in this like really tragic way. It's like everything ended in this version of tragedy. It's just like crazy. Like when I was reading about that, I was shocked. It's one of the most shocking things I've ever heard.
Everyone has to read the Spice article because it does just hit you like a ton of bricks at the end, where it's like, and then they all died.
Yeah.
Well, and here's what's so weird, and like at a certain point, one of my other band members, Ben, who I'm still like best friends with, we're like, were we a curse to like this entire world? Because like we were in New York for Lou got the Jacksons back together for the performances at Madison Square Garden. It was like the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, NSYNC, Missy Elliott, like all these big artists. And that was on 9/9 and 9/10 of 2001. The next morning was the World Trade Center, 9/11 2001. And so we were all there for that. We were traveling in Asia when SARS hit, and like Lou had to figure out how to get us home. Like that, we sang the national anthem for the shuttle that didn't come back, and it was just like, what is going on? It was so crazy. Like everything was always just so heightened and so weird that it was just really, really strange. And we were singing. We were part of the Al Gore campaign when in like the Bush Gore era, where there was the recount, and it was just like all this crazy stuff.
It was the hanging chads where you guys. It was Natural's fault.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But it was just like the amount of like global disasters that we were like front row to was just so bizarre.
Wow, Michael, I knew your life was crazy, but this is even weirder the more we dig around.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we do have to ask you. We are a magazine podcast after all.
Yes.
So we do have to ask you some magazine questions. So Dara and I both obviously collect magazines, and we collect a varied amount of like different pop star magazines. Pop Star, J14, Teen Beat, all those different things. So can you tell us what a press day is like when you're doing a teen magazine? What is that experience?
Okay, usually a press day would be like a full day long photo shoot, which includes band shots, which is like, you know, there are boy band poses that are well known, and it's a lot of pointing, maybe like hands in pockets, like head tilted. There's a lot of those. So you like as each of you go through your routine of boy band poses, you get to like the interviewer will come over at the end of the big photo shoot, and you, like after you've been sprayed with the misting water bottles and everything for your centerfold. uh, and by the way, the chest shaving and all that stuff was a real thing. Like
Wow.
we were all having to really go through the efforts to get our chests that bare to for our pull out pop star centerfolds. But
Puberty deniers.
exactly. Yeah. But then the interviewing process was always insane. It like I feel like teen magazines, and maybe this is right again, and wasn't in touch with it. I felt like we were answering questions for 5-year-olds, and it was like the most bizarre thing ever. But then it kind of brings this childlike thing out of you, which then when you go back and like read your answers, you're like, oh, I'm like one of them. It's like this crazy thing that like the interviewers have it so dialed in, and like they know their audience so well that they like ask questions as if they're a kid. And it's like you start to like answer of like, well, I like swimming and chicken nuggets. And it's like, so it's like this crazy thing that like, it's so so you do the photo shoot, you do the interview about like the color of your underwear and like who's your celebrity crush and what else, who's your favorite artist of your peers or whoever, like is it Hillary Duff or Amanda Bynes? Who do you have who do you like better? And then you sign thousands and thousands and thousands of press cards, and you get so tired of writing your own damn name that you want to just give it all up. You want to just go home.
That was the tendon strain. That's how you strained your wrist.
Exactly. Totally. Oh my God. But it is, I look back at like some of those magazine like answers that I gave, and I'm like, again, I said it earlier, it's like, was I stupid? Then I'm like, I think it was just the way that those types of magazines frame questions and everything. It like pulls this childlike thing out of you that like, and again, it works. Like that's what the people want to read about, is like the color of my underwear, or like when's the last time I washed my socks, or like whatever. Like,
and we remember it.
Yeah.
Like you remember, like I remember as a kid, because I'm a Britney gay. I'm a Britney homosexual. Okay, she's I'm one of her most notable stalkers, and
Is that true?
I just remember. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, it's true to some. I don't want to get into it, but
no restraining orders or whatever, right?
Not this year.
It's been dry.
Yeah, 2024 is looking really good, but no, like you would memorize those questions, like, and like I even remember some of them now, like favorite ice cream cookie dough, favorite scent vanilla. Like they did work.
Yeah,
like they were very effective, those simple questions.
Well, and even again, like my band was nowhere near what a lot of these bands became, but I've gotten messages from people that are like married, have families, whatever. So it's nothing weird, but like they'll be like, I was in a relationship with you when I was in high school. I was like,
wow.
Oh, wow. Like, and that's what like teen press and everything kind of does, is like those personal, intimate details that, I mean, a lot of people think are true answers. Like it allows for people that might not fit in somewhere, or like not really be like fully themselves yet, and they're still trying to figure out what they are, and they're like afraid to be outwardly themselves. There's like this like respite and safe place in these magazines with these bands and these pop stars and things, that like there are true relationships happening there. Like this is before social media, obviously. So like teen magazines was like, that was the kind of the portal to bands and pop stars and things, that like there was like a very real relationship there that I'm understanding now by talking to some of these people, of like I never thought in a million years I would help somebody through like a death in a family or whatever, not even knowing the person. But like
Mm.
there was like this salvation of like this that teen press at the time, again pre social media, that was like real relationships in a way. I mean, not real, but real.
Yeah, and those magazines help us get to know you as a character and not like, because like as a kid, it's like you have no interest in learning like a fully formed human being. You want them to be
Yeah.
a character, like a playing card almost. So
Yeah.
it's like to know these sort of like like throwaway facts about you and feel like that's who you are in your entirety. You're a bad boy who wears armbands and you like cookie dough ice cream and Spider-Man. And
Yeah.
like,
That's
I'm dating you now.
I,
I'm your girlfriend.
there was a few times that like I at that time I said my crush was Angelina Jolie, and so I would like people would like bring me homemade Angelina Jolie T-shirts and all this stuff, and there was one girl that somehow snuck into some premiere and got Angelina Jolie to sign this photo for me, and there was pictures of her doing it and getting pulled out of the premiere, and
Oh,
she presented this thing to me and was weeping, saying, "I know I'll never be like her, but I wanted to give this to you." And I was like, "Oh my God, okay."
oh my
And it was
God.
just like it was wild. I mean, I in that instance, like I actually like stopped because I somebody weeping and saying I'll never be like anything was like it threw me for a loop. And like I was just like that was an answer I gave in an interview. Like I'm not in love with Angelina Jolie. Like you're great in like what's happening. Like I like Angelina Jolie is to me like apparently I am to you. Like it's not a real thing. It's not real.
What's so funny is that in this very magazine, you said you mentioned meeting Blink-182, which was like a big deal,
Yeah.
and also that you got Angelina Jolie's phone number, and then you said, "Just kidding."
Amazing. Amazing.
Now, in this issue, in the introduction, they sort of talk about how, the voice of the magazine says how much pop star loves natural, and they say, we're trying to brainwash the kids of America to love them as much as we do. Was that like completely organic, or did Lou have any sort of pull with different magazines that you know of?
I think he did because he could say, well, if you want this, you got to cover this. And like, and like the a lot of these magazines all had the same photographers, and like they were like exclusive photographers for these magazines, and like the editors were, like it was a very tight knit family. So if Popstar got the exclusive on an NSYNC tour at one point, like Luke could go into them with anything he wanted for years after that, being like, "Remember when I gave you the exclusive on this? Let's the old quid pro quo type of vibe." But honestly, like we got to know a lot of these people very well, like a lot of the editors and a lot of photographers, because it was just constant. Like the amount of press was constant. And I know, like, I won't name magazines, but a lot of them were kind of pay to play a little bit of like, you want the cover, you want a big ad, it's this much money, and then we're like, we're on the cover, and like, oh, that was paid for or whatever. But I guess I just didn't know the game at that point. Apparently it's still that way. But yeah, I mean, I think because again, being Lou Pearlman's next band, like the doors would fly open, whether it was like tours worldwide or world leaders that wanted to meet or whatever it may be, and especially team press. They were like, there is a good chance this band is going to have a fan base. So it worked. And yeah, we kind of became friends with these people, which was strange.
Well, to kind of piggyback off what you said earlier about how they would talk to you guys like kids, in my mind, like reading these questions, not just from you, but like throughout my entire life, I'm always like, I bet they have some crazy shit on the cutting room floor that they couldn't say. Man. And it's hilarious because in this one, they ask you, they say, I really must give up. And then they wait for all you guys to answer. And it says in parentheses, everyone makes goofy crack and heroin jokes. And then they immediately move on from that.
That's incredible.
Why did they even include that? I was like, I clutched my pearls. I was like, crack and heroin.
Yeah. Oh my God,
What?
amazing. I mean, so there was a time where we had to do so much press that we would just say wild things just to like keep it fun for ourselves. And at a certain point, like in Europe or Asia or whatever, they're like, we want to get an exclusive with this band. And we're like, okay, cool. You have to take us to the top of like the highest peak in the Alps and we'll do an interview. And they would. Like they would take us to like the Zermatt was like this giant mountain over there. Like they would do crazy things. And we started understanding like they need this cover and we can tell them whatever we want. And we started like kind of understanding that game. We're like, oh, they're going to fly us to like this massive, like cool resort to just do an interview. Let's do it. We're in. And so we started to understand the game a little bit. And so that was fun. But another thing that I am just now remembering, and it has to do with magazines. And I don't know if you've ever looked at German teen magazines.
No, but I'd like to.
We will. You would trust and believe that we will.
They do these things called love stories in magazines for like tweens and teens that are like it's basically like sexual education for the kids of Germany, and it's in teen magazines, and that like it's these like stories of like Hans meeting Dieter or whatever, and like there's like this all this like a photo love story that they then like get naked and like understand each other's bodies. And it's in like Bravo magazine and like YAM I think it is. But check it out. Everybody should check it. Well, it's weird because they're all like 13-year-old kids, and it's very strange. Oh. But there was one time where the magazine wanted my band to be a part of the love story. And
oh my God.
And so like we were in this park, and like this guy and this girl, this boy and girl, were in this park on a picnic and saw their favorite band, Natural. And like there's pictures of us singing a cappella for them at their picnic, and then like they then go off and like get naked and understand each other's bodies better. And it's like it's crazy. They're like teen magazines over there. They're called love stories. That is just wild.
Wow. And I'm pretty sure I own like a Bravo magazine.
Probably.
I've definitely heard of that.
Yeah, I think we actually, I don't know if this was the same time, but we did wind up in a steam room with these kids. I'm just sorry. I just opened a portal to like love story hell in my head. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Just everybody should check it out. After watching Long Shot, check out German love stories.
Oh my, I feel like it's so rare for Troy and my mind to be blown by something. And
right, totally.
We have truly learned today.
What's weird is like our minds were blown too, but there it's so normal that we were like making fun of their culture in a way.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is how you like learn about sex. But like that's not how it works in America. That is not. We don't get it from our teen magazines. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is insanity. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's really something. I don't even know if you can access that from America. Could you like? I probably have. I probably have some copies around somewhere that I could. Not in a weird way, but I can get over to you guys.
It's a cultural artifact at this point.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is. I have to selfishly ask you if you had any Britney interaction as a stalker. Hello.
I did.
The people want to know.
I did.
Tell us. Be as intricate with detail as you can.
No detail is too
no,
small.
like seriously, you don't get it.
So I mean, it might not be that exciting. I have a better Fergie one, but I'll start with Britney. So this is at the time where like NSYNC was just coming up. Britney had just released "Hit Me Baby One More Time," and so Lou had his offices and his studios and like Johnny Wright. Do you guys know who Johnny Wright is?
Yes.
So he had started like another office across the street from Lou's studio and offices. So I was there like hanging out at the studios. I hadn't been signed to Lou yet. I was with a friend of mine who was working with Wild Orchid, which was Fergie's original band. And so I was just kind of hanging around. I had just started to drive. I had just got my license, and I got my learner's permit, and I was there with the person I was there with was my like co-pilot because they were over.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Johnny's like, "Hey, so Brittany's here at the studio," and then so she walked into the offices, and Johnny was like, "Michael, she doesn't have a ride. Do you mind driving her home?" And I was like,
break my computer.
And I like looked at her, and I was like, she was obviously attractive, and I got super nervous because I couldn't drive like legally yet, but the person that I was with allowed me to. And I was like talking to her, and I was like, "Okay, well, where do you live? Like, how far is that?" Like, we were talking, and she was like, like, if you can't do it, I can call." I forget her friend's name at the time. You would know who this is, but I'm blanking on it. It was a girl that did a lot of her like studio demo singing. Christy Mayo. Now she goes by Rena. But so I got so nervous I bailed. I didn't do it.
Oh my God.
I think back to that time, that moment all the time of like, what would that have? Not like not in like a romantic way or anything, but like what would that ride have been? Like she had just started popping off, and like what would that ride have been? And where she needed to go was like far away. It was like an hour drive. And I was like, what would that have been? And it was like
something about that added detail just made the weight of it much heavier. The fact that it was a long drive. Now I feel it on my shoulders.
Because I was thinking like, I don't really know what I'm doing driving a car. And like it was like from Orlando like to like Cocoa Beach or something, which is like a far drive. And I was just like, there's too many chances of me making an absolute idiot of myself in front of this like brand new pop star who's like at the time was like the hottest girl on the planet. So yeah, I freaked out and I bailed, and I think about that time often.
Well, it's funny because in this issue, it does call out specifically your bad driving skills.
Really? Does it really?
Yes. I forget the context, but it's like, it's like, what are you most afraid of? And someone goes, Michael's driving.
Yeah.
And then another person goes, oh, we're all afraid of Michael's driving.
Yeah, maybe it was I might have killed Britney Spears.
Oh my God, what if this was a sliding doors moment and we're in the good timeline and the other one is Britney died before she got started?
They're like, she's fine, but she lost her limbs.
Right.
She'll never dance again.
Oh my God. Yeah, so
wow.
You're welcome everybody for deciding not to drive Britney Spears to like Cocoa Beach or wherever it was.
You know,
maybe you're
I feel
not
good now.
Cursed.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe you're an angel.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. Anyway, so yes, you're welcome.
Wait, what's your Fergie story?
So I was at she was in a band called Wild Orchid, which if you
I know.
Okay. So and they were all
Great Pretenders, the show. Loved it.
We were at the Billboard Music Awards in Vegas. It was my first time like really traveling without my family and whatever, and there was this like big party bus that it was like Justin, Brittany was at that too. Lance Bass, Nick Carter, I want to say, some of the Boys and Girls United crew as your favorite band, and Stacy at the time, who's now Fergie. She, I guess I can say this, she was very intoxicated, we'll say. And she decided
that is canon.
She decided to do a crazy striptease on this bus, including like the railing handles, and was like flipping, like doing backflips and front flips, basically nude, hanging onto these handles. And this was before, she was Fergie, and she was just this like crazy girl in Wild Orchid that I knew at the time. And I was, again, very young. I was still 15. And like I had never even like I don't even know if I had seen a naked woman in front of me before. But it was just like, and it was this
Wow.
woman flipping over and doing all these crazy things, basically naked in Vegas. Uh, and then went on to become Fergie. But then the weird thing is the party bus pulled up to the MGM Grand, which is where the award show was, and I had been drinking as well, and I was young, so I was like, I need to eat something, and I went to the Nathan's hot dog place in the food court at the MGM Grand, and I sat down to have my hot dog, and I looked next to me, and a guy having a hot dog next to me was Maxwell, like the singer Maxwell.
Oh,
I was like, and this is like around the time that Woman's Work song was like a big
yeah.
thing,
Oh yeah,
and I was
yeah.
just like, okay, I was trying to like get over what happened on this party bus with like I've never seen like a naked woman really before. And then I'm sitting next to Maxwell eating Nathan's hot dogs. I was just like,
Oh my
this is the weirdest thing
God.
ever. And that was my introduction to like the pop life and what's it all about.
Wow. The first naked woman you saw was Miss Fergalicious.
I'm pretty sure yeah, now that I think about it. I mean, maybe like, yeah, I guess that was. So it's certainly like, I'm pretty sure that's
Other than like you're accidentally walking in on your mom as she's
right.
changing, that's probably
Exactly.
the first.
Yes. I guess Fergie was that. Now that you say that, that's right. Thank you for getting me there and realizing
It's wildly on brand for Fergie. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
it's such a Fergie moment.
I hope that that's okay to have said, but it was quite the ordeal, we'll say.
Wow.
But it all
Quite the wild orchid.
yeah, exactly. For me, it all led up to having a Nathan's hot dog with Maxwell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that story is such a perfect snapshot of the kookiness
Yes.
of your adolescence.
Well, I just have to like say this, and I think you guys have kind of gotten a good grasp of this, but like that scene in like I said before, like Paris Hilton had her nightclub in Orlando, Florida, at Lou's Complex, and like we had this tutoring school for all of us that left high school to go on tour, and it was like my graduating class was Mandy Moore, me, Justin Timberlake, and this hockey player, and then like, and we just like we would see each other at this like little tutoring school, and like everybody was just like this little incestuous like club that was just like
Yeah.
this like Orlando, Florida was like the entire universe like centered like spun around Orlando, Florida in our minds. It was just like there's no better place to be, like everything cool is happening here. And it was just like I always want to pluck people that have an affinity for that era and just like put them in Orlando, Florida at some of these like suburban house parties in 2000 or 2001 and just like watch their head spin because it was just crazy.
I mean,
I literally cannot imagine.
no, like this is the thought of it. Because I mean, as an outsider, like I can tell you, that's what it felt like to kids. It
Yeah.
felt like Orlando was like this, like cooler Hollywood or something. Like it was
Right.
like the Hollywood that's like off the beaten path, but it's like so hyper specific to like our interests. You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like it was a kid's dreamland. Like even above and beyond going to Orlando to go to Disney World, it was like you can be in Orlando and like the person next to you is like Amanda Bynes and like all these like all the Nickelodeon stuff was happening there too, LA and also in Orlando, and it was just like this world of like boy bands, pop stars, child stars, and like Mickey Mouse Club, like all that stuff was just like such a crazy moment in time, and that place was just so specific that it's wild, absolutely wild. And like the weird thing, not to tie it all back to Lou, but like when he went down, it all went down too. Like none of that exists there at all anymore. Like the studios don't even really like host like TV shows and stuff. Like the Nickelodeon, the Universal lot is like not really happening. Disney's not doing too much there. There's no music scene there anymore, and it's like it was this moment in time that when this like criminal that started it all went down, it all went down with him, and it's like it's just so it's hard to even remember that it was actually real. It was very strange.
Yeah. God. Oh, you're so, I mean, it's just like so cool that you had such a unique tie to it as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost like the NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys story has been, we know it like so intensely, and I'm just so much more fascinated in like the other acts.
Oh yeah, it was a machine down there. There was the bubblegum factory. Yeah, and I will say like I got super close to Lou, and like we were like even after my band broke up, we were still working together a bunch, just because I just admired how he was able to make a lot of people's dreams come true, and I just wanted to stay a part of that whole thing. So when I did finally see behind the curtain at the end, like knowing that like everything that we were just like laughing about and excited about, knowing that all of that was kind of a front for criminal activity was like so heartbreaking that like it's still hard to comprehend that all of that good stuff and all of that fun and light and everything that brought so much joy to people was a front for crimes was just like so hard to grapple with. But luckily all of those good times outweigh the terrible things that that did happen, and that like I get a lot of joy talking to people like you guys about all the good stuff.
Yeah, because really at the end of the day, like obviously Lou created it, but it was really it was his talent that created the energy around it, and like the vibe and the world building was all you guys. You know what I mean? It was not it still, and it still means so much to culture and to people and to the industry, and like the lasting effects of it I feel like at this point are more positive than negative, because it is literally our entire childhood. It is all of it.
Well, what's funny is I have a bunch of friends that like are in the rock world that would never listen to boy band music, and then they saw our series. And I know like the Lou and the Backstreet and NSYNC story has been told in various forms before. And one thing that we tried with the doc was to like show how hard these bands worked. And like, yes, they were given the opportunity by this guy, but everybody worked their asses off. Like you said, like a guy like Lou can't go to a bunch of schlubs and make them famous. You know what I mean? Like it was the work and the dedication and the talent of all these bands that made that cultural impact. And like even a bunch of my fans that would like spent their lives like making fun of boy bands, they're like, wow, these guys are actually cool human beings and like put in the work to be where they are today. That is what was happening in Orlando, is like kids that already had a work ethic from performing at various places that just like saw this goal and worked their asses off to attain it. So it was like that is the reason that the wave of like this pop culture revolution happened there, was because of all of those talented kids.
He was the curator, and he saw the talent, but yeah, it was built on your back.
Yeah, and your magnetism. Like,
right.
Yeah,
you know, even if he had found a bunch of just like attractive kind of ho-hum idiots, like not even every attractive person is magnetic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that in itself, it's like you can't teach magnetism, and you can't create magnetism. People are born with it.
Yeah.
And then you can put them in like a sleeveless shirt.
Oh yeah.
And spray it with water. You know what I mean? But like it's your magnetism and it's your charm that built that world, you know?
Yeah, and I think what he did kind of represent that was a very positive was like, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not given like hope and a potential direction and goals, it can fall by the wayside. And he was just like this cheerleader of like, the world can be yours. And when you hear that as a kid, and like all of the guardrails are taken off, it's very, very powerful. And I hope that people are still doing that for kids without all the crimes, or the kid touching and all the abuse. It would be nice if somebody was just hopeful and offering offering a chance to achieve your goals.
Wow. Michael, I feel like I manifested this friendship or something. Just like to grow up and be able to hear these stories is just, I mean, it's such a privilege.
I am happy that anybody would care.
Oh, you have found two people that care so deeply.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. And this was an incredible first interview. Thank you so much for being so open and so candid, and this was just incredible. This was like so much more than I could have ever even hoped for.
It is my absolute pleasure, and I do just have to say one thing, because I forgot to say it when I was telling the story. I was in the same graduating class as Mandy Moore and Justin Timberlake, and I was valedictorian, just so you know. So technically, like on paper, I am smarter than them. So I just had to say that. Yeah.
And you know what? In your interviews, you weren't stupid. You were valedictorian.
Exactly.
You were one of our young
That is
minds.
a valedictorian talking about underwear. Yes.
If it makes you feel any better, I already thought you were smarter than Justin Timberlake before I even met you. So now it's confirmed. And
well, thank you guys so much. This was amazing, and congrats on a badass podcast.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations to you on Dirty Pop, and everyone. Turn this off and go watch it if you haven't, because it's fabulous. And I mean, there's just so much great footage and pictures and stuff, so you can really immerse yourself back into that world.
And stream natural.
That we all dreamed of.
Stream natural.
Oh, and stream. Let's get it charting.
Yeah.
So actually we re-released our record that like got caught up in like all the criminal activity of Lou. So like when his castle was crumbling, our record like got buried. So we just re-released our second record. It's called It's Only Natural, of course. So it's on all streaming platforms. So there's a nice plug for you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Everybody, I'm going to go listen right now.
You'll love it.
I can't wait. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Michael. You're the best.
Thank you guys. This was an absolute pleasure.
All right, guys. That was it.
That was that.
Hope you enjoyed.
Hope you enjoyed it. We did it.
We did it, guys.
Yeah.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Do you like being educated on things that entertain but don't matter? Well, then you need to be listening to the podcast with Knox and Jamie. Every Wednesday, we put together an episode dedicated to delightful idiocy to give your brain a break from all the serious and important stuff.
Whether we're deep diving a classic movie, dissecting the true meanings behind the newest slang, or dunking on our own listeners for their bad takes or cringy stories, we always approach our topics with humor and just a little bit of side-eye, and we end every episode with recommendations on all the best new movies, books, TV shows, or music.
To find out more, just search up the podcast with Knox and Jamie wherever you listen to podcasts, and prepare to make Wednesday your new favorite day of the week.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.